Good evening, Fernwood. It's your TV pal Neil, and it's time for some more late night variety madness with another episode of Fernwood Tonight. If you are just seeing my face for the first time, this is a reaction show where we watch the show together and then we talk about it. And if it sounds like it's your bag, then please stick around. Also, if you're a viewer who feels like you have the means to help support the channel, then please visit our Patreon where you get monthly updates and access to the episodes at least a week before they show up, and more things when I say so. Today we are watching episode 40. The 8th week of this series is ending. That's from August 26, 1977. Yesterday was the height of ratings week, so let's take a look back. Barth Gimbel and Jerry Hubbard are celebrating ratings night by putting on their finest duds and asking the audience to yell out their window, "I'm mad as hell, and Barth Gimbel has a great show that you should be watching." Their first guest, Rock Mondo, has thrown out his back, so he will not be fighting anyone from the audience, but Ms. Jane Tiffany is there to say that he mostly threw out his ego. Tony Rolletti stops by to share some of that Tony Rolletti energy, singing "I've Gotta Be Me," and then having some banter between him and Barth and Jerry. Then we bring out Dr. Harrison Edwards, a former schoolteacher who was fired for mooning the entirety of Fernwood. Barth reminds us of his plan to award $10 each night to someone who has not fulfilled the American dream, and since rumors have started, he calls the bank to confirm and verify that there is enough money in there to award the prizes should they be won. And unfortunately after that, Happy Kind and the Mirthmakers play Barth off. He's got no time to award the money, so it's gonna have to wait for today. Everyone yesterday got into some excitement. I can't wait to see what's happening today.
Tonight from Fernwood, Fernwood Tonight, 30 minutes of whatever. Coming to you live with your host for tonight, Mr. Barth Gimbel. Tonight, Barth's guest will be Dr. Alexander Beach, who shows how you can take drugs in your eye. Blanche Moody, whose husband can no longer wash. Bryce Clement, whose head is only half finished. The singing Humdingers, and Happy Kind without the Mirthmakers. And me, I'm Jerry Hubbard. And now here's your host and mine, Mr. Barth Gimbel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Hap. That'll be fine. Oh, that was great what there was of it. The reason Happy here had to play alone is kind of sad and actually equally simple. Happy's Mirthmakers are on a wildcat strike and are picketing Channel 6 at this very moment. Now, of course, I feel very strongly that they have every inalienable right to strike, even though it severely damages a top-flight show such as mine. Thank you. Oh, come on. No. But I stand emphatically for the working man. I actually do. So if the Mirthmakers still want to throw my car in the lake for crossing the picket line, that's okay. It's a loner anyway. I'll understand. I know I'll be more understanding than Happy was, but then he was in his at the time, right? It's too bad, but you look great tonight. I have a list of their grievances, and I guess I'll let you be the judge. So I'll tell you right up front, they're ridiculous. For one, I remember they wanted a reserve parking space for their van. And get this, their own dressing room with a bathroom. Now, I guess for some reason they object to parking at Wilbur's Why Pay More self-serve gas station down the hill. And they're also not very happy with having to change in Wilbur's restroom, even though Wilbur's restrooms are top-notch, or darn close to it. Oh, here's Jerry Hubbard. You never really know when Jerry's going to come in. He gets a little out of breath there with the opening announcement, but it's nice to see you. You're looking great.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Good.
Not worth doing a job if it's not worth doing it well, and we're all kind of upset about this.
Yeah, well, they'll be back soon, we hope.
Well,
you know, Jerry's brother Conrad here, the station manager, Channel 6, which explains a great deal why Jerry's here. He's made some counter proposals to the mirth makers, which I think might work out all right.
Well, he sure has. He's offered to arrange to get the boys to use Vern Taylor's service station. Now, that's for 5 blocks further east, but they would avoid that nasty climb up that big hill.
That's right, and that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's a substantial counteroffer, boys, if you're listening. The ball is now in your court, and Conrad's car is under 24-hour surveillance. Isn't that right? Okay. Let's settle this thing fast, okay? That's just my feelings, and I'm sure yours as well is happy. Okay, now on with the show. Luckily, my next guests make music, but don't need musicians. They are a semi-professional quartet. I guess that means that only 2 of them get paid. Is that something like that? Tonight, they'll be doing something a little bit different. First of all, one of them is on a sympathy strike with the mirth makers, as luck would have it, and flatly refuses to sing. Secondly, they will be updating the traditional barbershop sound, the one we all know, the Sweet Adeline type of thing, and instead they'll be doing a medley of the superstars of the 70s. So please welcome the world's only barbershop trio, I guess you'd have to call them, the Humdingers.
First, a salute to the unforgettable Beatles.
Lucy in the sky with diamonds, diamonds. Lucy in the sky with diamonds, diamonds. Lucy in the sky with diamonds.
And now one of your favorites, and I'm sure one of ours, Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones.
I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no satisfaction. My baby.
Come on over here and sit down, fellas.
Well, that was 3/4 of a good job.
Yes, sir. Very, very interesting. You guys are quite something.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You guys are real troopers. The show must go on, and even though one of you wasn't contributing to very much, I know what that's like myself from personal experience, right, Jerry?
You know, I really, it is a great job, and I find it fascinating. Every time I've been in a barber shop, you guys are so busy, where do you find time to rehearse?
Well, actually, you don't have to be a barber to sing barbershop.
What do you fellas do for a living? I know it's not this, that's for sure.
Well, Charlie over here on the end, he's a car salesman.
I'll be darned.
Kevin sells shoes. He outfitted our group.
You'd never know it.
I'm a dentist, and Cecil here, he's a mortician.
I know must be a lot of people dying to have you work for them. Sort of lighten the load since you're stiffing.
Walking billboard for his own business, isn't he?
That's right.
Well, no, I think it's great that 4 diverse backgrounds could come together at a common goal and make such great harmony. And I, for one, think that this world would be a little bit better place if everyone, regardless of race, creed, or color, could meet over a haircut someplace and sing a Rolling Stones or a Beatles song.
That's an awfully nice thought, Jerry. I think it might make the UN General Assembly look a little silly. But just all that clipping going on and translating a haircut, how do you go about doing that?
That's right.
Who knows?
So actually, you guys don't really know why the price of haircuts has gone sky high then, do you? I mean, it's used to be $1.75 and you get a nice trim. And
Well, like we said, we're not barbers.
Well, we'll be right back after these words. Nice try. Happy kind and no mirth makers, ladies and gentlemen. Aren't they terrific? Really swell. Do a heck of a job for us.
right, and the quartet, like real barbers, sure know how to cut it short.
That's great. For those of you who out there who read, you may have been reading about a disease that is currently plaguing millions of Americans. The disease, of course, is glaucoma.
Yes.
A disease of the eye which often leads to blindness.
Yes, and there's a saying that none is so blind as he who cannot see, and it's very true.
Right, Jerry. But there has been a medical breakthrough recently, and to tell us about it, my next guest is an optician here in the Tri-County area. Please welcome Dr. Alexander Beach. They ever call you Sandy as a nickname? Sandy
As a child, yes, they did.
That's probably ribbed your father, too, when they found out he had a son. Kind of interesting. Doctor, I understand there's a wonder drug that has been found helpful in the care of glaucoma. What exactly is that drug?
It's called marijuana, Bart.
Oh, boy. I guess I didn't understand that. I'm sure that most of us have heard of marijuana. Doctor, isn't it illegal? It is as far as I know.
Well, that's correct. Yes, it is illegal, except in the treatment of this really awful and insidious disease, glaucoma. You see, Bart, the active chemical in marijuana, THC, has been medically proven to relieve the pressure the glaucoma exerts on the back of the eyeball. Very painful.
Very interesting. Now, this disease was actually sort of ignored before, wasn't it?
Most people just ignored it. The attitude was, okay, I'm going blind, I guess I'll just become a good listener. Sort of. However, once marijuana proved to be the cure, glaucoma sufferers everywhere have been coming out of the closet, and well, boy, we got a lot of cases of glaucoma on our hands.
Just really, how widespread is the problem, Doctor?
Oh, well, golly, I would say that out of every 5 patients that come to me needing glasses, 4 of them have glaucoma.
And that medication, of course, is...
Primo dope, Bart.
Yeah.
Good Colombian, Thai stick. You name it. I can get it within 24 hours.
4 out of 5. My gosh, that is quite a statistic, and I'd find that kind of difficult to believe, except for the fact that I know of the 5 band members who are absent today, 4 of them suffer from glaucoma. Are they? Is that an interesting... Well, and you'll be happy to know, Doctor, that oftentimes I've walked by their van and seen them diligently smoking their medicine.
How long do you have to take this marijuana before you are completely cured and there's no more glaucoma?
Rest of your life. Well, you can't be too careful, you know. I mean,
that's right.
The nice thing, though, is, you know, the more you take, the better you feel.
It is comforting, Doctor, to know that we found a cure for this disease, but there's an old saying that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Hey, right, Jay. Right. And I can let you have an ounce of prevention for $80 a lit. Why not stop glaucoma before it starts?
That's a very good point, Doctor. And you can find other ways to live with your disease. According to my friend, which you might pass along to your patients, he says that whenever he gets together with other glaucoma sufferers, like at his apartment on Saturday night, something like that, there's a real feeling of camaraderie. It seems to make it easier to deal with the disease. They kind of make a party out of it, you know. Even those little papers you used to use to clean your glasses, well, they just take those things, put the medicine in, roll them right up.
Those are handy.
Just terrific. And apparently you can't taste any of that cleaning fluid, so it's not like that bad-tasting medicine.
No.
Misery loves company.
Absolutely. They make a party out of it. Just play some music, lie around on pillows, and they take their medicine, and sometimes it's so pleasant we forget we have this curse, they say.
Well, hey, what's so bad about feeling good, right?
Absolutely.
But I want to make this point. Glaucoma is a handicap, but it's also a hassle. And you don't need it. I mean, if you want to prevent glaucoma, I have devised a very simple test. Folks out here can take it home. Can I do this? No?
Absolutely.
Because I think, you know, a lot of people
this might help a lot of people get over some suffering. They certainly...
Okay. Take a look at this. You have trouble focusing on this? Your vision blurred? Tell me what's wrong with this picture. Well, if you have trouble with this, you may have glaucoma. And if you do, call me, Dr. Beach, 555-5624.
Okay.
Or write to me, Dr. Beach. Hey, Sandy, you know, really. Post Office Box 78924, Fernwood, Ohio, 45989.
That's great.
A division of Gimbal Co. Enterprises.
Thank you very much, Doctor, and we'll be right back after these words.
My name is Zubin Mehta, and I conduct the New York Philharmonic.
When I originally proposed the idea of helping the unfulfilled great dreamers of Fernwood by giving them money all during this ratings week, I quite honestly had a little battle with the powers that be here at Channel 6, and what powers they be, which became obvious to me when they vetoed my original idea for this project, which was to help somebody to the tune of $10,000. But $10 a night was all they'd spring for. And like I've said so many times about being here, it's better than nothing. So if you can imagine the feeling I must have had knowing that because Lady Luck stuck her nose in our contest for 3 consecutive nights, preventing us from giving away the money, I felt pretty bad. But tonight, I'm able to wave 40 big ones right in the face of Fernwood's biggest dreamer. I've decided to let you people here in the studio audience make that final choice. We've picked 2 entries, 2 dreams, and with the help of this applausometer, can we get a shot of that? Have we had that? Okay, great. Put together by Ken Klinger, incidentally, of our own engineering department. He did that just out of stuff he had at home. With the help of that applausometer, you will decide who gets $40 closer to Dreamland tonight. So, listen closely, because no matter which way you vote, one of these 2 people will hate you a great deal in just a few minutes. May we have our dream finalists come out here and read their dreams, please? Is that possible? Here she is, our first finalist. This is Mrs. Elmer Moody. Mrs. Moody, it's all yours.
Can I read it, boss? I'm not sure I'm going to remember.
Well, a lot of us have trouble remembering our dreams, so why don't you go ahead and read it?
Thank you.
Here's a little temptation. Okay, go ahead.
Dear boss, my husband Elmer was, as many know, with the Merchant Marine, and a year ago he was taking a shipment of vaccine to a South Sea island where a new strain of malaria had broken out. While he was on the island, Elmer took sick, but he refused to be injected with the vaccine because he was afraid of catching hepatitis from the natives. 2 days later, he died of malaria, leaving me to run the laundromat single-handedly. My dream is that the money could somehow help me buy a second clothes dryer for the laundromat, since so many of the washer users are walking out angry with wet loads. I know $10 might not buy a real professional dryer, but maybe at least a blow dryer they could use on the socks and delicate things. God bless you, boss. Blanche Moody.
Okay, now let's have the applause. Now. Whoa! Looks like an 8 on that meter over there. That's going to be kind of hard to beat. Probably take a 9 or a 10. So, and the man who can maybe do that or maybe not, we don't know yet, do we, Mrs. Moody? Let's meet our final dream finalist, Mr. Bryce Clemmer. That's his name. You may read yours, too, in all fairness. We keep it fair. She read, so why don't you read?
It has always been my belief that a beautiful community, like a chain, is only as strong as its ugliest part.
Okay.
And so 2 years ago, I began my own effort to make Fernwood a better-looking place to live by starting a series of expensive and painful hair transplant operations. Unfortunately, just as the process was half completed, I was laid off my job and couldn't afford to continue. My dream is to finish beautifying my own little corner of Fernwood. Also, I must add that the anguish and humiliation this has caused me doesn't end sooner. I may be forced to shave off $2,000 worth of painfully implanted hair and return to a life of loneliness to the point of celibacy and possible homosexuality. I win the $10.
Okay.
Thank you, Bryce Clemmer.
Okay, let's hear it for Bryce Clemmer. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. It could only happen on Fernwood Tonight. I don't believe it. It's a tie. So, good sports, too. That's wonderful. Looks like we're going to have some sort of an applause off or something like that. We'll have to do it again. And this way, well, first of all, actually, why don't you, since you're kind of nervous anyway, I'm sure, about who's going to win, go over there and have a seat. I just want to say a few words to the audience, and then we'll have that applause off, okay? We're going to have it. Don't worry about that. But before we do, I'd like to, as I say, I'll take a moment out to speak kind of seriously here, in a way, about the millions of people who couldn't enter our dream contest because total desperate poverty and hunger have even deprived them of the energy necessary to mail a letter. People whom life has kicked in the face so often, it says neolite on their cheeks. There are so many who need so much that a lifetime seems, I don't know, pitifully short. Not much time to help them all, is it? And I'm not just thinking of this country. That is just this country. Let's not even mention the hungry and homeless abroad that not even UNICEF knows how to reach. Stardom and fame are not what I'm really in this for. My dream is to make a real killing on television. And I'm talking about the kind of money that could get me the choicest table at the best restaurant in Hollywood, even if Henry Winkler has just walked in ahead of me. And then take that money and drive across the country, this great country of ours, and stop and write a check for 50 cents, $1, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 right on the spot. And give it to the first needy person I see. And just keep on doing that all across America. You know, it's the same kind of dream that the great Abraham Lincoln once had. A dream that was shared 100 years later by the late, great John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy. $40 may just be a teardrop in an ocean of a dream like that. But I want to take that first step on a journey that can take me so far beyond the best restaurant in Hollywood, pack my oldest work clothes in an old suitcase and head out across the land right now. Maybe that way I can bring that happiness to people that they so richly deserve. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time just to head out and do that. If I can bring that happiness, that's all I ask. I'm sorry, Jerry. Just go ahead and have the applause off. Let's have a winner. That's it.
That Barth Gimbel's humble dream of helping all mankind is the best dream in Fernwood. Barth, come on out here. Barth, on behalf of the good folks down at the First Bank of Fernwood, where there's always free coffee for all depositors who maintain a minimum $300 balance, why don't you write yourself a check for $40 and keep on dreaming? How about that?
You all, thank you and good night.
Kevin Reinhardt, Maurice Frelo, and Charles C. Clark as the Humdingers, Fred Granby as Dr. Alexander Beach, Ivy Bettini as Blanche Moody, and Richard Foltz as Bryce Clemmer.
And that is the resolution of our ratings week ploy. I suppose we'll get to that. We start with a pared down mirth makers. There are no mirth makers today because they are on strike. apparently they're not getting paid well enough, or also the parking situation, not having a dressing room, all of that. So Barth puts it in their court by suggesting there's another service station where they can park their cars. Then we bring out the Humdingers, or 3/4 of the Humdingers. I mean, they are all there, but certainly one of them is also on strike. So we get a 3-part barbershop harmony. It's missing that bass note there, but versions of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and I Can't Get No Satisfaction, they're certainly digging into what we now today would call classic rock. Then we bring out Dr. Alexander Sandy Beach, who is here to talk about glaucoma and specifically the treatment for it, which is, as far as I know, the earliest call for medical marijuana that I have heard of. This is 1977. I didn't hear about the use of medical marijuana. Certainly, it is now more or less legal in many places, and medical uses have been around for quite a long time. But this is the 1970s, when it was still seen as a really intensely illegal drug. Like, many people were going to jail at this point for the war on drugs, started by Nixon and continued by many presidents after that. But here, because it is a medical treatment, it is, it feels like Dr. Beach is somewhat of a pusher, right? Or somewhat of a dealer, at least. He's able to give 80% of the people who need glasses prescriptions for this use of medical marijuana, and apparently 4/5 of the band, the Mirthmakers, also have the glaucoma, so they're doing their treatments just fine. I have to say, this surprised me because, I didn't hear the talk of medical marijuana use in the public sphere when I was growing up. And then this was the 1970s, so I was nowhere near growing up. I feel like things became much more legally accessible in my adulthood, so just to hear it, I know there's like rumors from potheads when I was in college and stuff that it's a good treatment, but that's certainly not the way that it was used even then. But now marijuana smoking is very much normalized. It's just a different thing now, right? Like, I don't really know if it's universal across all 50 states, but certainly some of the big ones have changed their take on what marijuana is in the 45 years since this show was on the air. And then we bring out Blanche Moody and Bryce Clemmer, who are the finalists for this prize money to be awarded that we've been talking about all week. And it's up to $40 since we were giving away on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Of course, those prizes were never awarded. So the total, each of these people might be expecting $10 since that's what they mailed away for. But at this point, the funds have accumulated. Blanche tells a story of her husband going off to deliver vaccines and dying of, I believe, malaria, and thus leaving her laundromat in really bad shape. And, it's pretty sad. Then we bring out Bryce, who has not completed his hair transplant program and has only gotten hair on half of his head. It's pretty silly to see someone with half a head of hair, right? Like, part to the left, but impossible to part in the middle exactly. However, both of these participants tie when it comes to the applause-o-meter, and that's when Barth takes his stand and says why he's even doing this, to help further the dreams of people around the world. And that's the speech that gets the most votes. So Barth gets to pay himself a $40 check. And that's where we go with this ratings week. And that's the end of week 8 of this series. So let's just spend a little bit of time with that topic of the week. This week we have been talking about sex tips. We have a new topic coming up next week that I'm just going to spring on you then. But this week, again, we've been talking about sex tips. And yesterday we talked about partner-to-partner communication. We've addressed in Good Evening Fernwood one of my heroes of of Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman was May Olinsky, who started a campaign as the Fernwood Skywriter to say that foreplay is fair play. And something that is really neat about that campaign is that it's really like taking the time to see what your partner likes. And that is part of the thing. And you know, sex is a trial and error kind of deal. Sometimes you're going to try something and it works, and sometimes you're going to try it and it doesn't work. And it's figuring out, right? So I think treating sex like play can be a really valuable way to approach it. How you do that is kind of up to you, but it is exploration. And if you as an individual partner know what you like, you can say, hey, here's something I like. And if you don't, then it's time to play with you and a partner, right? Theoretically. So I suppose that's my tip for the day, is just approach it like it's fun. So that's all I've got to say about the topic of the week. That's all I've got to say about Ratings Week here at Fernwood Tonight. So thank you so much for watching with me. Thank you so much for leaving your thoughts, feelings, and impressions in the comments. Thank you to my top tier Patreon supporters, because you make this feel like play for me. And we will see you next week, week 9 in Fernwood.